Hi, welcome to episode 8 of the Passionate Spinner podcast. My name is Tracy. You can find me as Schnüffeltier on Ravelry and Instagram. It's written like this. Also, I did open a Ravelry group for the podcast. It's called the Passionate Spinner podcast group. And something weird is going on in my computer. Okay, so here, Passionate Spinner podcast. I also have a blog where all the show notes can be found. You can find it at thepassionatespinner.wordpress.com. And thank you so much for being here this week. I hope I have a little bit more to tell you and to show you than last week. But I'm not quite sure yet. We'll find out. Okay, what I'm wearing. Today I'm only wearing a hand-knit cowl. I did knit this with Noro Silk Garden 4-ply. I'm gonna take it off to show you the texture of it. I got the yarn for this last year when I was in Dublin with my girlfriends for a short trip. And like I said, it's a Noro, so it has nice color changes and color repeats. And I wanted to knit a cowl out of it as a souvenir. As something that will remind me of this vacation. And I, with the help of my mother, decided to just knit a simple waffle stitch pattern. Not quite sure if this is focusing or not. Basically, I just cast on a bunch of stitches, knit 2 rows 2x2 rib, and then 2 rows stockinette stitch. And that's all I did. I used 3 full skeins for the cowl to have a nice length. And it's very warm and I like it a lot. So, this week I did have a little bit of time to knit, so I do have finished things. So, for knitting in the past this week, where are they? I knit a pair of baby socks. They are, of course, for my baby. They were knit out of leftovers from a Schoppelwolle Zauberball. I have no idea what the colorway is because I got the leftover from a friend. I'm going to show you the lighter one. I knit this with US size 2 needles, 2.75s, as always with fingering weight yarn, with 40 stitches around. And they're just, small baby size socks. They're not newborn size socks, just, maybe 3 month old, for a 3-month-old baby. But babies will grow, so I decided to rather go for not newborn sized things because newborns come in different sizes and whatever I knit, I want my baby to fit in. So, yay, finished pair of baby socks. It was the first thing that I finished that was specifically for my baby. The next thing that I finished is again something for my baby. It's not super finished because I still have to weave in the ends and I need to attach buttons, but I did finish Pepita. I'm gonna hold it back here so you can see it. It's a romper. I hope that's the right word. I knit this out of Drops Fabel. I do have a ball band to show you in my knitting bag. Here it is. This is the yarn that I used. It's a normal 75-25% wool and nylon sock yarn. But I love the Fabel sock yarn because it is really, really soft and super nice to work with. The colors are quite unisex, I think, because I started this right after I found out that I was pregnant and I had no idea what flavor I will have. So, yeah, this is it. The pattern, I'm going to try to show you a picture. As it's a free pattern, I can show you whatever I want. The pattern itself is for a small romper with little socks on the end. I don't know if you can see it on the schematics. Yeah, kind of. Nah. It's very light again in here because we had snow. So lighting and me, we don't agree again. But as you can see, I did not knit the little socks. I just did a 2x2 rib and a stretchy bind off because I was sitting with some mothers and they told me that it's smarter to not do the socks because if I don't do the socks, the rumple can grow with the child. And I decided that I liked the idea of that. So I'm gonna show you again next week when I have everything woven in and the buttons attached, because I still need buttons. I can't finish it right now. Okay, so that's it. Knitting in the present. I am working on the baby blanket. Last week I showed you that I started the cable pattern, and I did finish the stripe with the cable pattern, and of course I did run out of yarn before I had the length that I needed, so I just attached some garter bands on both ends. And yeah, I did like the pattern. It was super simple to knit. It's the St. Bridget pattern by Alice Starmore. And I think I did knit 7 repeats of that before I ran out of yarn. So I'm gonna weave in the ends on this. I'm gonna attach it to the finished blocks or squares or whatever they are. And then I'll think about how to knit the border. The other thing that I finally started, well, not really started, I need a swatch for my husband's skull cabled sweater. I talked about this last week, and I did print out a picture of the original sweater, and I have no idea how I'm going to be able to show that because the sweater is white. Printing a white sweater. Yeah, you can kind of see it. It's a skull. Yeah. And I'm going to knit his sweater. Basically, I'm going to do it in plain stockinette and do the skull cabled sweater on the on front, on the chest. So I did knit a swatch. As you can see, it has a funny shape because I did try out 3 different needle sizes. The yarn I'm using is Fischerwolle Trachtenwolle. It's a wool, 60% wool and 40% nylon blend. And the yarn itself, I think it's quite a like a worsted weight yarn. But it calls for a size 3.5 to 4 millimeter needle, and that is just super tiny. So I started out with a 4 millimeter, which is a US 6, down here. Went to a 7, a 4.5 millimeter needle, and up to an 8, a 5 millimeter needle. The yarn is, I'm going to show you back here, it's a light gray with some dark gray streaks in it. I think I like the fabric in the middle best, but I'm gonna let my husband decide what he wants the sweater to be. And the sweater itself, I'm gonna just knit out of this book, the Top Down Sweaters book by Anne Budd. And it's gonna be a raglan style sweater. So I hope to start this sometime this week. We'll see. And the last thing that I'm working on is a pair of socks. Finally some socks again. I showed in my very first episode, I think, the first finished sock. It looks like this. The yarn is from a German indie. I don't have the tag with me right now. I'm going to show it to you when the socks are done. But it's a sparkly yarn. I'm not sure if you can see the sparkles. It's called Paradiesvogel. And I'm knitting those socks for my niece. I just started knitting up the leg on the second sock after the cuff. All my socks are knit cuff down, because that is what I enjoy. They are all knit on DPNs, and with US 2 needles, so it's 2.75 millimeter needles. And this time I'm using my Holz and Stein needles again. By now I'm sure you noticed that I love those needles. They are amazing. They are ebony, and yeah, I don't know what else to tell you about it. I am working over 64 stitches, and I am in love with this. I almost wish that I did knit those for myself, but I didn't. I decided to give them to my niece, and her feet are a bit larger than mine, so they will not fit me. So I cannot change my mind right now, and it's okay. So that's it for knitting in the present. Knitting in the future. I have two things planned. Now that I've started my husband's sweater, that's out of my mind for knitting in the future. But I want to knit two sweaters for the baby. And I decided to knit the Baby Yours sweater. The pattern is by Stephanie Pearl McPhee. She's known as the Yarn Harlot. I'm sure everyone knows her. It's a super sweet, asymmetrical cabled baby sweater. And for the two smallest sizes, you only need one skein of Saxodrog medium weight. And I bought this skein of Saxodrog especially to knit the Baby Yours sweater sometime. The pattern, oh no, not the pattern, the colorway name is Calico. And it's a nice light colorway with a little bit of brown, some light green in it, some light blue, and some orange, super light orange, where the brown fades into the natural color of the yarn. So this is gonna go on my needles pretty soon. And again, I'm not knitting the smallest size. I'm knitting the smallest possible size with one skein. Oh no, the largest possible size with one skein. And that is, I think, the 3 months size. And the other thing that I'm gonna cast on this week is, like I told you before, the baby surprise jacket. But today I finally thought about bringing the yarn that I want to use, and I'm going to knit this the baby surprise jacket with this yarn. It's Schöller und Stahl Fortissima Soca Mexico Color. I'm almost sure that this was from a series they did based on landscapes and countries, and I think this is the Ireland colorway, but I am not sure at all. But it's a nice green with a little bit of purple and yellow. I do like it a lot, and I think it will make a sweet little baby jacket for my baby. So this will go on the needles next. And that's it for knitting in the future. I did spin a little bit this week, or well, yeah, I did spin a little bit. I spun some more on my Three Waters Farm Cheerful Disposition. Again, I did not bring it because I'm still working on it, but I did finish plying the Sheepish Creations that I showed last week. This is the finished yarn that I got. I did ply it with itself. I did a Navajo ply or a chain ply. This is what it looks like. I don't want to take it apart because I've managed to wind it pretty nicely. So I'm just going to show you the skein from several different directions because there are so many colors in here. The top that I used was by Sheepish Creations. It's a mixed BFL and it's called Friar Tuck. I like the colorway. I like the name. I'm not quite sure if they really go well together because Friar Tuck, the character from Robin Hood, is not that colorful in my head, in my imagination, but it's fine. I I absolutely love how this turned out. And I think about knitting a Ida's Kitchen hat by Kirsten Kapoor with this. I knit this hat before for my sister-in-law, and ever since I wanted one for myself, but I didn't want to weave in a million ends again. So this self-striping DK weight might be perfect for it. I got 188 meters, which is 205 yards, and the skein weighs 118 grams, and I would say it's a DK. And I'm absolutely in love with it. I think it's so pretty. It turned out great. So that's it for spinning. I got a lot of new stuff because tomorrow is my birthday. And I don't know if this happens to you or if it's just me, but in my birthday month, I get super excited about everything and I just order way more things than I should. So I'm just gonna start with my very first order from Eden Yarns. She's based in England, and I'm just gonna show you what I got. I got this skein of hand dyed, of course, self-striping. Let's see if my camera will cooperate. Yes. It's a nice red, a light or an acidy green, a turquoise, and a light gray. The color is Springs. And I love the way that she wound this. I think she wound it by hand on a Nostipin, but I'm not sure. It's just how I imagine this skein came to life. And I also got 2 of her gradient sock sets. I'm not going to take them out of the bag. I think you can see it. The one on top is a purple to pink to orange to gray, and the one on the bottom is a teal to a turquoise to a light purple to a gray. I'm going to use those for knitting toe-up knee highs because I want to use every last inch of the yarn. And like I said before, I normally do not do toe-up. I don't enjoy that. But I think for this yarn, it's just the only thing that makes really sense. So the other thing that I got is some yarn from Query Fiber. I have to go, yeah, here it is. Query Fiber is one of my favorite dyers. I have a lot of her stuff, and I just couldn't resist. I got another gradient set, and I'm not sure if you can see the colors of this at all. I know it's a bit glary, but it's so nicely packaged that I just don't want to take it out. This was a sock blank, and I love that it came wound already, because taking apart a sock blank that's double knit, which is what you want with a sock blank, because if it's double knit you can knit 2 perfectly matching socks, and taking them apart is a pain in the butt. So I'm super happy that I don't have to do that. I'm trying to show you the tag that it's on here. Again, this will be knit into toe-up socks. Camera, back to me. Hello. Oh well, I'm gonna show you some more things close up, so it's okay. Then I got on her tweed base, because tweed is my favorite way of my favorite kind of sock yarn. I got 2 skeins of this colorway. It's called Explosion, and I'm gonna hold them up close. Aren't they amazing? It's a dark charcoal gray with tons of color in it. They're both a bit different. This one is more yellowy orange. This one is more like tealy. But I'm gonna do some shawl out of this using both skeins, and I'm just gonna alternate skeins, which is what you always want to do with hand-dyed yarn, so it's absolutely fine. And they are super pretty. And of course, because I'm me and I cannot stop buying stuff when I'm at it, I got another 2 skeins of Quarry fiber in the tweed base, and it's the Dalek colorway, which is a Doctor Who colorway. And I have a thing for mustardy yellows. I just love them. And this is the perfect colorway for me. Again, it will be a large shawl. I have no idea which one yet. It will come to me sometime. But I decided to get 2 in case I wanted to make something big. And I am capable of doing something big right now because I have 2 skeins. And they are just as pretty as the other 2 that I just showed. So, and now, of course, at the bottom of my basket are 2 more things that I need to show, so I have to go fishing for them. Okay, I found them. So, a friend of mine, a local friend, she makes stitch markers, and she made me a nice, cute, baby inspired set. I'm just gonna try to show you. I don't know how I will be able to show those. Maybe with a brown background, it's better. There's a I don't know what that animal's called in English. I'm sorry. Maybe it's better with my hand. I'm not sure. Then there is a baby bottle. A stroller. A baby romper or baby body thingy, and a pacifier? No, I don't know the word. I'm sorry. My baby English is not that good. But I love this one here. It's so cool. And she gave me another set to give to my mom because she thought if my mom's working on baby stuff for my baby, she could use some cool stitch markers to go with it. And then I did get a little package of stitch markers that look like this. And it says, I'm not sure if you can read it, but it says congrats, because I actually won something. I never win stuff, but this time I was lucky and I won a set of stitch markers in the Woolen Vine, the Yarngasm Ornament Along that went on in December. The stitch markers came from One Geek to Craft Them All. They are of course Christmas inspired because it was a Christmas knit along, and they are really pretty. It's a little snowflake, a star, a little shoe, and the other ones are just plain little Christmas colored beads. They are amazing. I did keep her card. This is I think they're called Moo cards, those little thingies here. Okay, I'm going to show you the back with the information. That's more important than the picture. At least I'm gonna try to show you. Come on. Yep. Good. It's One Geek to Craft All. Her shop can be found on Etsy. And she has nice stitch markers and earrings and stuff like that. So thank you again, Marsha, for sending them out, and thank you, Kristen, for doing the knit along. I'm super happy and I cannot wait for Christmas to come around again so I can use those. And I have 2 more things to show you and new stuff. My husband was in America for work, and he brought me back a knitting magazine. He just decided which one to use, and he got me the Creative Knitting issue of spring 2015. There are a few nice little things in here that I consider making, so you might see this again. And I bought a October design magazine. It's a sewing magazine, and it's for children's stuff or kids' clothing in a million different sizes. And just to show you, okay, it's not going to show you because of course it's super light, but there are a ton of patterns in here, and they are from the German sizes 56, which is for a newborn, up to 170, which is I think for a 14-year-old. So I can get going and sew a bunch of things for my baby. That's it for new stuff. I do not have an indie of the week this week because I'm just not really working with indie stuff except for the socks, and I just want to talk about her her business when I finish the socks, because that makes more sense in my head. So there's no indie of the week this week. I'm sorry about that. But I wanted to show you in everything else something about my reading. I love books. They were my first love way before I knew that yarn even existed. No, that's not quite true. I knew that yarn existed, but I wasn't interested in it. But as soon as I could read myself, I was reading all the time. And I just finished this book. It's called Mod zu Halloween. It's by Jean Goodhand. And I'm going to tell you the English title because it always says that. The English title is Blood and Broomsticks, and it was published by Accent Press in 2013. It's the 10th book in the Honey Driver series, which are some light crime novels, I would say. They're British crime novels. It's very funny. I can recommend those if you are looking for some light in between reading. They are not super brainy. They're just fun to read. The protagonist, she's a hotel owner in Bath, and she's picked to work with the police every time when a real crime happens that could influence the tourism to the city. So yeah, I don't know how to describe it. It's super funny if you want to check it out. It's like I said, the 10th book in the series. The 11th book is out in German already, and I have it. I just have to read it. And I think the 13th book is not out yet in English. So, great book. Next up on my list, what I'm going to start right after I finish recording, is this book. It's called Im Herzen die Rache. It's by Elizabeth Miles. It's the first book of a trilogy. I'm gonna check out the English name because it's from America. The English title is Fury, and it was published by Simon & Schuster Children's Publishing Division in 2011. So, it's a young adult trilogy. I know that for sure, and I think it's about fantasy as well, because I think it's about witches. It's a quite thick book, but I'm gonna start this today. I have all 3 books already, so I can just power through all of them. And what I brought to show you, I talked about my love for lists in every kind of way, and I write those for a lot of things. But I do have one for my reading. And I have one. It says Reading Diary from 2014 to, I don't know yet, because It's full when it's gonna be full. And I just wanted to show you one page and show you what I write down. I'm just gonna show you the last book that I read in 2014. Oh no. Okay, I'm gonna try to show you because it's of course white. I write down, this is so not satisfying. Is that better? Oh man, this drives me crazy here. Okay, that's not that bad. I write down the title of the book, the author, if it's part of a series, and if it is, what part it is, the language, because I do read books in English and German, the genre, the art, it's what this here is. It's where I write down if it's my own book or if I got it from the library or a friend gave it to me, or if in this case, if I reread the book. I do write down the beginning and end date when I started and finished the book, how much stars or points I would give it out of 5, and how many pages there are. So this is what I write down for every book that I do read. And in the end of the year, I do write it down, of course, by hand and digitally, a little bit different. And in the end of the year, I have this little list that tells me how many pages I read, how many books, how many ebooks, and how many audiobooks I listened to. So that's just something I like to do. I like to keep lists and journals for 1,000 things, and now I'm getting the hiccups, so it's time for me to stop, because when I start getting them, I can never lose them, and I don't want you to suffer through it with me. So I wish you all a wonderful week. I'm gonna talk to you again next week, and hope you have a great one. Enjoy what you're doing, and goodbye.